So, guys, welcome to Planet Therapy. This is a space where we have casual conversations surrounding work life balance, self love, and also empowerment. So, let's just get right into it. This episode is going to be just slightly different because I feel like I want to ask you guys a question. Have you ever been described or considered as the strong friend, the strong employee, or the strong family member that everybody has to come to? Now, with that, I feel like you don't even realize sometimes or people don't realize that when you're described as that friend, it just has so much untold or unspoken about emotional depth and instability that comes from inside of always being a strong person. Where I feel like in this episode, I want to just really uncover that. So I feel like when you're considered to be a person that is like that strong or resilient friend, I feel like it comes to characteristics of someone where people look at you as someone you can take a lot of struggle. You're quite resilient as a person. Let me give you an example. I feel like within my last job, I was under so much pressure to be a person where like I just had to just show that I was okay. Whether that was through I knew, for example, my targets was not getting hit. I was doing my best. I was doing sorts of training. It wasn't working. But I had to go in the office. I was also under so much medical issues. I was in so much pain sometimes. But I was just a person where I just hated to show that I was struggling. I don't know where it came from, but I just feel like I'm just a person where I like to portray the best side of me, if that makes sense, as much as possible. And I feel like because of that, people just kind of felt like, oh, okay, he seems like he's always got it together. Why not just ask him certain things? So there'll be times in the office, I'm just like, stuff's going on, health, whatever, family, friends. And I just had to sit there and smile, make the whole office smile, make them laugh. And it's nice. I feel like it's nice sometimes to be needed, especially in those sort of circumstances. Like sometimes my family or friends might have issues when it comes to just anything. They might need help with something. They might be going through a breakup. They might be going through, I don't know, disagreements. And I can just kind of sometimes find a way to see past the emotions of it and just go to like a logical conclusion as to what can help that person at that time. Or let's say provide that emotional support. If I could see, okay, this person's just venting. Okay, I could sit there and let you vent, and then I can come with some sort of resolution that kind of makes sense, that like takes you away from the emotions and just sees things a lot clearer, if that makes sense. So if you're that type of person, honestly, well done, because it's not easy sometimes always taking on someone's stress or someone's weaknesses or someone's difficulties, because you kind of have to think outside of what's normal to you to kind of apply that with someone else, applying context and knowledge and stuff like that. And that itself is already a mental toll. But then it's like, okay, so if you're taking on someone else's stress, how are you then able to relieve some of your own? And that's where I find it difficult. So I feel like there's different times. So I feel like, okay, cool. I might be, if I'm giving you a real life example, let's talk a couple of months ago. So a couple of months ago, let's say I was just let go of my job. And during that whole time frame, I was trying so hard to meet targets. I was like, okay, who can I reach out to on LinkedIn? Who do I know? Who can I book a meeting with? Can I make any more calls? Have I reached out to maybe like a client that said they wanted to meet with me and So I was going through all of that, trying to make sure I was okay there. So work was hell. Then with my family, I feel like there was a lot of things going on with like mental health stuff, or like trying to be there for my sister to help her with like her business stuff, which is great. I love to be there and just help where I can. So there was a lot of back and forth from like home to make sure my family's okay and stuff like that. My sister was okay with business. I feel like there was like friendship issues and stuff like that where I was meant to somehow be present in some conversations, but I feel like all around that was just too much. And I felt like I was just meant to split myself into so many different places that I couldn't do. And even, let's say, even relationships, like I felt like there was like just issues there, just trying to figure out someone else's problems or dilemmas. And it's difficult. So within all of that, I feel like I just reached a shutdown stage where I just said, I can't deal with you. I feel like when I feel like I'm like that, and it takes me a while to kind of feel like I'm burnt out or just overpowered and just my social battery is dead. But when it's dead, I'm like, okay, cool. I just isolate myself. I'm in a room. I'm watching anime. I'm just bedrotting. I'm just existing, if that makes sense. Because I feel like sometimes any more noise and I'm going to fall apart. So, and I feel like there's not a lot of people that can even understand that way of thinking, because I feel like people are used to seeing me on a high or really there and present with, I don't know, just being present with certain conversations and stuff like that. But I realized that I was pouring into people's cups when my own cup was empty, and it was just like, there's just nothing left. Like, there was just nothing left to give. And I felt like I was in such a real slump where I was just like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing with myself anymore. And then fast forward, let's say a couple of weeks later, I was going through job interviews, stuff like that. They were going well. So then maybe my energy started to rise a bit. But then there was a couple of jobs that I felt like, oh, okay, we're doing really well with this interview. I'm doing presentations, which no one talks about. I don't understand why it's sales roles. There's so many interview stages. It's like 5. Like 3 of them I got to the 5th stage, and then they were like, either I didn't have enough experience or they just wasn't looking for like stuff like that while I was on my experience and stuff like that, which is, you know what, that's fine. But it just sometimes takes so much of a burden just to sit down, do those job applications, do these presentations, stay up all night to do them, and then get rejected. So again, it was like that little raise of energy I had just went right back down to 0. And I was like, okay, great. We're back to bedrotting, we're back to anime, we're back to just existing. And I feel like on the face of it, I feel like my friends and family didn't really know I was going through some of these things until I had to just be like, guys, I cannot be there for you right now. Like, it's just, I can't even be there for myself right now. And it's hard to get to that point of accepting that, because I feel like way back when, like maybe like a year ago, I would literally just be like, yeah, I'm here, like I'm there, you got this problem, I'm there, you need this helping or you did this fixing, I'm there, if you need this money or that, I'm there. But I feel like I reached a point where I had to realize that I'm not Superman. I'm so sorry, like I can't do that for you. Like, and it came at a cost of my own mental, because I felt like a disappointment where I can't provide help for those people that I feel like I care about, or I can't be there to even just support you, whether it's just a through a conversation with it, because mentally I'm tapped out. So imagine a combination of mentally exhausted and burnt out, to then it affects even work, where it felt like with my work colleagues, I was just non-existent. I just couldn't be there mentally to talk to you, because I felt like I had to shut myself in a room because I didn't want to show you that I'm struggling. And it just kind of built up a system of isolation and depression, because I was just like trapped in those stages. I felt like I can't talk to people because I feel like I'm the person that people come to. So when I need that sort of help, it's like I don't want to burden other people, because it feels like I can somewhat, it's not even like I saw anyone really as a burden, but at the same time I could see the mental draining it can take to listen to someone else's problems. So I don't want to be a drain to someone else, if that makes sense. So yeah, so it was like the endless vicious cycle of when I got a couple of bars of energy and I'm really there, to I burn myself out, to not taking care of my own well-being, to kind of be like putting a pause or set my own boundaries. And it could be a lot, and it affects so many different areas of my life, or of your life in general, because I feel like it can affect friendships, it can affect family dynamics, it can affect working relationships, or just work in general, productivity, when you just don't let your barriers or yourself down, like your walls down, because you just have this image of being that strong person. I feel like, especially in men, I feel like men in general, we don't like to show emotions much. Like as a generic, we don't. It's like we just like to kind of, and that's programmed for even just society, where it's like we're meant to be the provider, we're meant to make sure that we are that sense of stability. And if we feel like we rock the boat with stability, then it's like looked as less of a man. I feel like for me, it's like that, plus also being a black man. I feel like, again, mental health, what is that? Like sometimes in some like cultures and stuff, like mental health is like something that you just it's a thing of a Western thing that we just ignore, that we don't talk about it. So it's like you're just meant to do because why not, you know? And you kind of inherit that strong facing personality, and people come to you for money, people come to you for guidance and stuff like that, when in essence you're not even allowed to say sometimes if you ain't got it, or you just haven't got the mental capacity to help. And then you're looked and you're shunned by some people where it's just like, I just ain't got it in me right now, you know? And yeah, and then I guess within workplaces as well, I feel like with its own troubles, I'm sure we've discussed throughout the podcast, where it's like sometimes, I guess from my own experience, I feel I have to be someone that's always got that energy, always, you know, motivated, always motivating other people. And especially with sales, you're always talking to people, you're always communicating, you're always trying to be on the phones, you're trying to book in these meetings, you're trying to collaborate with your work team. And it's like you kind of just have to be, again, another strong facing character. And especially, again, for me being a black man, I found that it was difficult to express any sort of negativity or like booking time off, because I felt like, again, I'm a minority in this place. So that means when I go off, it's very noticeable. Also, if, for example, I might be struggling, it's going to be red flags in my head thinking, oh my God, they got a reason to get rid of me. So that in itself, plus just dealing with the whole mental health stuff sometimes, it's a lot. And yeah, and it's real. I feel like there's so many people that face these things and it's just not talked about very much, you know? And I feel like when I sometimes sit and reflect, I think, why do I feel like I need to be this strong person? Why do I feel like I can't come to anyone, you know? Why do I feel like I have to suffer in silence and not have those same friends or family come and help me when I need help? And when I deeped it, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's because I think it's always easier to kind of put out someone else's fires than your own, because it makes you not have to think about your own, like, weaknesses, your own inabilities and stuff like that. And it's also that veil of vulnerability and allowing yourself to be vulnerable to other people. And that can be scary because some people can treat that badly, like, because for me anyway, I'm very guarded with my emotions. I feel like although I'm a very happy-go-lucky person, I feel like when it comes to a state where I feel just emotionally vulnerable, I feel like if you're not treating that rightly, I don't know what to do. Like when I was a couple of years ago, I guess even when I was working and stuff like that, if I felt like a manager was really off with me or really like not taking my emotions aside, because I felt like I was always trying to work hard to be productive, I would just quit and move on to the next job, because I feel like I don't want to be in a place where I feel like I'm not valued. Certain friendships I feel like I've ended because I feel like when I'm a vulnerable or emotional, if you're emotionally volatile, I don't know how to go about that, because for me, I feel like I'm somewhere I try to always measure my emotions as much as possible before having sort of conversations in the first place. So if I feel like you're a person that can't reflect that, I just find it difficult communicating. So it's just like, okay, I'd rather just shut down and just deal with things by myself, if that makes sense. So yeah, accepting that is hard. And I feel like I needed that. I needed to get to a place where I figure out, where is this coming from? Why am I finding it so difficult to be vulnerable, and the effects that it can lead to? Because isolating yourself and not talking to people, it's not healthy. And it's like you should be able to feel comfortable enough to express how you feel in any sort of situation, whether it's with friends, whether it's with family, whether it's with work, because that's why your managers are there in the first place. Because you're in a job, yes, to do your job, to hit your targets, meet your KPIs, do the obviously job description, but your managers are also there to help facilitate work-life balance in a way that's suitable to you, whether you should feel comfortable to make errors, make mistakes, to then learn from it, because that is in essence what failures and rejections for, to learn from your pain, learn from what went wrong, so that you can then come out better from it. And that's with friends, that's with family, that's with any sort of dynamic. So what I then had to learn to do is like, okay, I accepted this is where the behavior comes from. And I had to learn to be open, and that's not the easiest thing in the world. I'm still practicing, I'm still learning. Where what I mean by that is when I feel like I get a whisper or an inkling that, okay, mentally, I've had it up to there, I can't do it. I'm honest. I'm honest with myself and I'm honest with those around me. I'm like, okay, right now, this is just not working. Like, I'll tell my mom that, okay, right now, I cannot come over at the moment because right now, life is a lot. And even just me vocalizing that sometimes it makes me vomit. But it just helps people also see you as a human being and not as a robot. And I feel like for a long time, I programmed myself in thinking that I just come across as a robot to people because I feel like I always hear like, oh, how do you always get together? Like, how do you do what you do whilst going through so much rubbish or stuff like that? I just smile, be like, I don't know. And as much as it's good and it's nice to feel like you do have that resilience, it's also very much a thing to protect it's a thing to make sure that you don't become emotionally numb. And that's how I was becoming to my emotions. I would just erase it, put it over there because I didn't like to sit in my negative emotions at all. And again, doing that sort of reading and self-discovery, I learned it all comes down to self-love, which is great, isn't it? It's a recurring topic. I feel like self-love means to me where it's like, boy, I'm just able to sit down and understand that I don't feel great and I need to be able to communicate that and feel comfortable whilst communicating it, and also doing things to make myself feel better from it. So if it means I need to just take a day or two to just decompress, fine, do that and feel okay with that, not feeling guilty that you need to take some break from this times, from a friendship, from work, and taking an absent leave because I need to recharge. Cool. With that self-love, it also taught me that I need to set boundaries. So if I feel like I'm overworking myself to a degree where it's like, okay, I'm not that I'm not benefiting from it, but I'm also not happy, like in the long run, and I'm not as productive as I'd love to be, then I have to then set myself boundaries like, okay, cool, I'm only going to do work from this hour to that hour, and I'm going to block in time to do this and this. I'm going to give myself a rest day every 3 days or something like that, just to make sure I prioritize my well-being. Because when you're able to do that, that's the only time you can actually get anywhere and you can actually feel great for what you do and be so much more productive in what you do as well. And yeah, you just don't feel like a slouch where you just like a bag of potatoes just walking around, and you just feel a lot more lighter. And the third thing is I actually just ask myself a lot of questions like, okay, cool, am I happy? It's like positive affirmations in a way of asking yourself questions. Why am I so happy? Why am I so successful? How do I get there? My sister taught me that. She was saying now, like, she was looking at this thing where it's like, you can have positive, I feel like, positive mantras or positive affirmations. They're great and all. But sometimes you need to actually question yourself as to like questioning that success. So you're programming yourself to ask yourself questions. Why am I so great? Why am I here? Like, why am I in such a good place in my life and stuff like that? And just keep on going. And it's just those sort of things really help me understand that, yeah, as much as it's great to kind of show that strong image as a person that's got it all together, it's even better when you show yourself as a vulnerable person, because I'm being comfortable with that, because it shows you're in charge of your own emotions and people can see that and draw to it and learn from it. And you know then that you're seeing yourself as a human person that goes through struggles and stress, and that's okay. It's a fact of life. It's going to happen. And yeah, just being comfortable with that, you know? So I guess one thing I'm going to challenge you guys to do is journal. Like, what I try to do, split my life into different areas. I think I said this before in popular episodes where it's like I try to split it between family, friends, mental health, work, let's say passions and hobbies and stuff like that. And how do I feel about these different areas as positively? Where can these things improve? And then give myself actionable steps as to do those improvements. And I encourage you to do that, because I feel like when you have a good recollection, like a good understanding of where you are at in these different areas of your life, you then know how to move appropriately and making sure that you don't neglect different areas. Not to say all these areas are going to be great all the time. That's not what I'm saying. But it's so good when you can recognize that you can break down your issues and struggles, or break down your goals and motivations into those areas to make sure you're actually like trying to make them better, and you're also trying to just acknowledge them as these are what makes me whole. And yeah, just feeling successful, I'm feeling better and empowered. So I hope that helps. Also read this book, I think I showed it to you before, Good Life, Good Vibes. Amazing. It really helped me understand self-love in a way where it's like bigger than a buzzword. It's actually applying that to myself and reflecting on what is self-love to me, and what can I do to infuse that into the different areas of my life to make sure that I feel good. I feel like I got the right positive people around me. I feel like I have people around me that understand when I need breaks, or understand that I'm also human. So as much as I can give to you, you can also give to me. And I feel like you're always going to meet these changes and shuffles in life. And it's just learning that when you can evaluate these different areas, it's like it will help propel you to, or just be okay with these changes as it helps propel you onwards. So yeah, that's my challenge to you. And also check out that book. It's really great. It's by Vex King. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Honestly, it was really interesting because I feel like interested being vulnerable on camera. It's like, oh, okay, y'all really getting a little insight into my life. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got a takeaway from this. And feel free to just message me. I've got LinkedIn, Marcus Johnson. And just to really just have a chat if you need a chat, understanding a bit more about this, or how to maybe even give me advice, because I'm still learning. I'm just giving you advice on what I know. So it'll be really great to reach out and yeah, just have this conversation going forward. So if you're seeing this on any of these platforms, on like TikTok, Instagram, or Apple Music, or anything like that, then feel free to drop a comment and like. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care and peace.